Friend, and welcome to the Pastor's Podcast this Monday morning. Good to have you along with me as we get started throughout the week here. Another week for the Lord. Get to serve Him. Had a good day yesterday at the church, and people saved and baptized once again. Always a good time. And been a kind of a very busy weekend. A funeral this past weekend. Got another one coming up this Friday. And but looking forward as we get ready to go for our fall campaign. A big push for about 4 weeks, asking God to do something mighty, praying that God will do a mighty work in our church here in the next few weeks. Now, church, let's stay busy this next 4 weeks. Let's really push hard. Let's see what God can't do as we really push to see God do something miraculous in our church in the next 4 weeks. I don't know what it is. And a lot of times when we ask God to do something like this, sometimes we just say, we really don't know what it is. And so we just got to stay busy for the Lord and see what God can't do through us as we go forward for Him. And I'd encourage you now, let's work hard wherever you are, work hard and let's see what God can't do. Well, today, let me talk to you about my pressure relief valve. In Job 32 and verse 19, Job said, "Behold, my belly is as wine which hath no vent. It is ready to burst," he says, "like new bottles." Job felt like he was about ready to burst with no place to release the pressure from what he was enduring. Now stop and think about what Job must have felt like. He lost his job, his wealth, his transportation. He lost his health, his children. And then his wife, who's supposed to be his encourager, she pretty much just told him to curse God and die. Then these three so-called friends come, and these three friends come and who were supposed to come to comfort him, they were miserable comforters. They came and instead they accused him and slandered him with words that were spiteful words that cut to the heart. Now the pain of going through what he was enduring was great enough, but those he wanted to vent to, they would not listen, which only added to the pressure that he endured. Now, you know kind of what he felt like to some degree. Now, it's no wonder that Job felt like he's about ready to burst. But we find that Job had a pressure release valve that inserted himself, and that's God when I say that, into Job's life. That pressure relief is that valve was, of course, God. Job found the way to release the pressure of what he was enduring when he talked to God. God shows that he's the pressure release valve in Job 42:10, where it says, "And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends." The pressure of what he endured was released the very moment he prayed to God. Now, the purpose of the pressure release valve is to let that pressure from the inside out so that whatever the valve is on does not explode. For instance, a pressure cooker has a pressure release valve to let the pressure out before opening that lid so that lid doesn't just burst off and hurt someone like a shrapnel from a bomb. You see, that pressure inside that cooker, it could hurt somebody if that pressure release valve is not set off. The pressure release valve is there to keep the pressure on the inside of the cooker from hurting others. Now, a pressure release valve is not bad, but in times of pressure, there needs to be a pressure release valve to keep you from becoming hurtful to others when you explode on them. Now, everybody's gone through these tough times. Everybody needs a place to vent, and prayer is that best place to vent. Prayer is that pressure release valve for the believer to vent all their pressures of life on God. Prayer has a way of releasing the pressure that you feel from heartaches and trials. Now, when you're about ready to burst, you have to find a place to get alone with God and to vent to God. 1 Peter 5:7 reminds us that prayer is that pressure release valve when it challenges the believer, when God says, "Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you." See, God is that pressure release valve that you're to run to when you feel like you're about ready to burst from the pressures of life. Now, you will become a bomb that hurts others if you don't spend time releasing your pressures to God and venting on God. Now, God wants us to vent on him. Many have hurt relationships because instead of releasing on God, they vented in anger towards others. And that venting that they released their pressure on hurt those in that relationship and damaged the relationship. Now, if you're facing pressures of life that seem to be building, that they're so great that on the inside you feel like you're about ready to burst. Maybe you feel like Job, that inside there's no place to release. I'm telling you, there is a place, and that place is God. If you're saved, you have a place to vent, and that is to go to prayer. God is the master, my friend, of handling the believer's venting and turning that venting into positive. Now, you're going to find that you can face trials, no matter how big the trials are, if you'll run to God in prayer. So don't let the pressure build so much that you burst and you destroy everybody, your relationships around you, your testimony, the name of Christ. God gives us that place to vent. That's in prayer. So that means you can handle the pressure that is upon you if you'll learn to run to God and say, God, I've got to get this off my chest. I got to get this out of me. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to God and I've said, God, I just don't know if I can take this anymore. And I'll tell God what I'm going through. And I dump it on God. And I'm telling you right now, when I do that, many times when I do that, I walk away feeling a whole lot better. I let it off. I went to God. He took the pressure. He took the load. He took that load that I was casting on him. And God's happy to take that. And God's happy to take yours. So you have a choice. Destroy the relationships around you by keeping the pressure on the inside, or release it to God and let the pressure off on God and let God help you to keep your spirit right. Keep your going forward for the Lord with a great attitude. My friend, how we've got to have this type of Christian in our lives. I'm challenging you today, challenging you. Let's make sure we spend much time in prayer, dump it on God so he can take the pressure and you keep from destroying the relationships around you. Well, I hope this is a great help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone